In the heart of the New Testament, nestled between the books of Matthew and Luke, lies the book of Mark. A dynamic and action-packed narrative, Mark's Gospel is one of the earliest accounts of the life, teachings and miracles of Jesus Christ. Chapter 1 begins with a bang, introducing John the Baptist and his role in preparing the way for Jesus. It quickly transitions to Jesus' baptism and temptation in the wilderness. The chapter concludes with Jesus beginning his public ministry, calling his first disciples and performing miracles. Chapter 2 sees Jesus healing a paralytic and arguing with the Pharisees about the nature of the Sabbath. This chapter is a clear display of Jesus' authority and divine power. Moving into chapter 3, Jesus continues his ministry, healing the sick and driving out demons. He also appoints the 12 apostles and challenges the religious leaders of his time. In chapter 4, Jesus employs parables to teach about the kingdom of God. The chapter concludes with the calming of the storm, a miracle that further highlights Jesus' divine authority. Chapter 5 details 3 significant miracles: the healing of a demon-possessed man, the raising of Jairus' daughter, and the healing of a woman with a blood issue. In chapter 6, Jesus is rejected in his hometown of Nazareth, sends the 12 apostles out to minister, feeds 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish, and walks on water. Chapter 7 involves Jesus challenging the Pharisees and teaching about inner purity. He also heals a Syrophoenician woman's daughter and a deaf man. In chapter 8, Jesus feeds 4,000 people, heals a blind man, and predicts his death for the first time. Chapter 9 involves the transfiguration of Jesus, further predictions of his death, and teachings on faith and service. In chapter 10, Jesus teaches about divorce, blesses children, and discusses wealth. He again predicts his death and heals a blind man named Bartimaeus. Chapter 11 sees Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem and the cursing of the fig tree. This chapter also includes Jesus' clearing of the temple. In chapter 12, Jesus tells the parable of the tenants, discusses taxes and the greatest commandment, and warns against the teachers of the law. Chapter 13 involves Jesus predicting the destruction of the temple and discussing the signs of the end times. In chapter 14, the plot to kill Jesus is hatched, the Last Supper is held, and Jesus is arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane. Chapter 15 involves Jesus' trial before Pilate, his crucifixion, death, and burial. Finally, chapter 16 recounts the resurrection of Jesus, his appearances to his followers, and his ascension into heaven. In summary, the book of Mark is a fast-paced, miracle-filled account of the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. It establishes Jesus as a figure of divine authority, challenges religious norms, and offers teachings on faith, service, and the kingdom of God. From the miraculous healings and teachings in parables to the dramatic events of the crucifixion and resurrection, this book provides a compelling portrait of Jesus as the Messiah, the Son of God. It invites readers to witness the transformative power of Jesus and calls them to respond in faith and obedience. Whether you're reading it for the first time or revisiting it, the Book of Mark remains an essential and inspiring part of the Christian faith.